But today, let's talk about when that announcement brings so much excitement you can hardly stand it. Hello, grandmothers. We are talking to you today, and we're talking about a subject that is one of those landmark times of life, and it's that moment when you're first discovering you're going to be a grandmother. Very exciting times. But now what? What do? The emotions and the planning all kind of come hurtling into your mind at once. So let's talk about a few areas that pop up right away. First of all is the emotional reaction. And it can be positive or negative. I'm going to really focus more on the positive in this video. And at another time we'll cover when that isn't a happy announcement. There are times when it brings sadness, it brings fear, it brings disappointment. You know, for all the reasons we all know about, conditions not right, they're too young, they're not married, whatever it is, those are tough moments. And we'll cover that in another video. But today, let's talk about when that announcement brings so much excitement you can hardly stand it. Tears, joy, laughter. I know when we got the first announcement from our oldest, Stuart and Heather, it was just such a happy moment. It was a surprise. They announced it in a beautiful way, and it just was one of those moments that brings tears to your eyes and joy to your heart. So it is an emotional roller coaster. Then immediately following the joy of the announcement and the settle down of that day, then there's a little reality check. And for me, that kind of hit in the form of, oh my goodness, I'm old enough to be a grandma. And that is kind of a startling moment because, you know, when we're young, we think grandmas are all old and ancient history. And then when we become the grandma, we realize, geez, I don't feel that old inside. I'm starting to get a few gray hairs maybe, but I don't feel like a grandma yet. And so I would encourage you to not let that throw you. I have seen people who are really upset over that. And you know what? It's just one of the beautiful roles we play in life. It's a title that's unusual. Not everybody can use that with regards to your little ones that are soon to be born. So embrace it, love it. You know, we actually, because we are a big blended family, we had conversations about what we'd be called as grandma. You know, is everybody going to be grandma? Are we going to have other names? What do you want to be called? Because there are multiples and we don't want to create confusion for the kids. So that actually made the process comfortable and joyful because I spent a lot of time thinking about what I wanted to be called as a grandma, and I decided Nani was what I wanted to be called. And so the kids all call me Nani. I love it. It's personal. I'm the only Nani in the family. There's other grandma and there's Gramsy. So we all three have different names, and that helps the kids, you know, keep clear which grandma they're talking to. So let those moments, you know, kind of ease that feeling of I'm old now. It is a natural progression of life. Thankfully, we've lived long enough to be grandmas, right? Take comfort in that. And start thinking about the legacy of your life. That's the other part of the reality check. I think when you see that next generation coming, you start to think about, you know, what will happen when I pass from this earth, and here's the generation, you know, that will be around when I am old and gray and really, you know, getting close to death. And you start to think about the legacy you leave behind. And we talk about that so much in Grandparenting A to Z. Legacies are important. We can make a good legacy or we can leave a bad legacy. So there are lots of choices to begin thinking about in these moments after you discover you're going to be a grandma. Think about the legacy in terms of building. What do you want to build at this next generational level? In that reality check, You're probably going to start a process of examining your priorities and your values because you are planning for a new generation. And of course, you're going to want to be involved with that new generation. And for some people, that requires or brings about changes in how they plan their time. Maybe they are going to be babysitting regularly or something like that. They're part of the caregiving process, so it requires some adjustments and an examination of priorities to make family a top priority. If you haven't already, we hope you have. And you probably have if you're listening to Grandparenting A to Z videos, because we are absolutely 100% in favor of family being a top priority in life. Finally, I want to say, in that moment when you are discovering you're a grandma and you're asking that now what question, I really encourage you to talk with your child and their spouse. This will bring some changes to the family. They are changing into new roles. You are changing into new roles, and there's a lot of responsibility coming on board. Remember those first months after you had your first child and how it dramatically changed everything and the responsibility levels. You couldn't go to a movie at the drop of a hat. You had to find a babysitter or something because now you had this little life you were responsible for. These are the things you begin to talk about with your children. How do we all, take our share of the responsibility in those moments? What are the pre-baby plans? There are fun events to plan like baby showers. Will there be multiples? Will there be one? Who's hosting? Who's paying? All of that good stuff has to be kind of sorted out before the baby's born. And then here's a really big one. Now I'll put a little caveat in here. At the time that we're filming this video, COVID has been with us for 1.5 years, and a lot of people aren't being allowed to attend births. Hopefully that will free up someday. But who is going to attend the birth? Is it just going to be, the husband or our other family members welcome? We had varying degrees of that in our family, and we were always all welcome at the hospital. With one daughter-in-law, she allowed the mothers to be in the room when the babies were born. Fabulous moments. I will forever be grateful for that. And I totally understood both of the girls and their decisions and how they wanted to handle that. That is a very private moment. It's a very poignant moment in life when you see your baby for the first time and you hear those breaths being taken and, that process. So talk ahead with your children about that and be accepting of whatever they are comfortable with. It's one of the things grandparents have to fight is that impulse to just be right in the middle of everything. And we do have to allow space for our children to flourish as parents. Let them develop and enjoy that. This is new to them too, and it's a wonderful time of life. Post-baby, talk with your kids about the needs. What will happen with regards to childcare. Is there a parent that's going to be an at-home parent, or will they need daycare? Is that something you want or are willing to help with? What are their needs with regards to returning to the workforce and managing their new family life? These are all the things that you can start to plan for, understand with everything in life. The best laid plans sometimes go awry, but we can be flexible. We can adjust as we go, and depending on the needs. We don't know what will happen after the moment of birth. Will there be unusual needs that need to be addressed? So it's a time to rejoice. It's a time to experience wonderful new emotions. I will tell you, the love you feel for a grandchild, there's no describing it until you have one. It is unique. It is the blossoming of your family in earnest. because you begin to see the long-term effects of family and how we care for them and how we nurture them and grow them into adults. You begin to see that just expanding, and it's a beautiful thing. So it is such an amazing time to start that journey of grandparenting. We hope that we've given you some things to think about. We are talking about different stages in grandparenting from the very beginning until the end. So I hope you've had some good food for thought here, and I want to ask those of you who are listening who are already grandparents, give us your best grandma advice for new grandmas coming up. You know, what helped you the most? Or did somebody have a word for you that prepared you for that moment or helped you in that moment and got you ready to take on that challenging, wonderful, loving new role as grandma? Take care and be grand, my friends.